Hello and welcome to the Big Bang Theory podcast. My name's John. I'm here with my friend and colleague Dan.
Hello.
In a bleak town lived a bleak football club, and at the bleak football club there was bleak football that I wish I didn't have to watch anymore.
Well, get used to it.
Oh my goodness. Exeter City 0-0 against Walsall, 2-0 against Crawley Town. What is the point of life?
I think last time we were sat here talking to these microphones, we were so full of hope, weren't we, and optimism. And
I can't remember.
neither can I don't think we did that well with the games before. No, we did win, didn't we? Anyway, but we've lost and then drawn this week.
Yes.
And they both were very upsetting.
I'm very upset.
Well, I don't blame you.
Let's go through it then. So last night 0-0. Maybe I think it's worth talking about Saturday before. So it was away to Crawley Town. John Yems, Tom Nichols, and it was kind of pootling along. But first of all, my first gripe, Daniel,
Go ahead.
The team selection. The team selection.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
So we're missing Bowman. We know that. We're still missing Hartridge, I think, at this point. No, maybe we're not. Maybe he's back. Anyway, whatever.
Crawley are seen as Hartridge is back. Crawley are seen by many, Matt Taylor included, clearly as a kind of a dangerous opposition. So he goes for one of our two formations. This one being the 3-5-2, 5-3-2 version.
Yeah.
With no Bowman. So
No.
you got Fisher up top with Ben Seymour.
Yep.
And at the back, you got the back three: Sweeney, Parks, Hartridge, and then no room in the side. This means for Robbie Wilmot,
No.
or Joel Randall,
No.
being kind of like wingers who can't really play wing back.
So we set up defensively.
I mean, we were looking at that before the game, weren't we? And you're thinking, you're not kind of like thinking, oh, here we go. Are you? You're like, okay, right. We're heading in for a scrap then. I don't like that back three,
I think,
not with those three anyway.
I don't either particularly, but I think Fisher and Seymour just says to me like, well, do we want to be a team that scores goals? Maybe I'm over goals. Goals are so last year. Let's have two lads who don't like scoring goals.
Well, to be honest, a 0-0 probably was considered as not the worst thing to happen there. But we couldn't manage that because the events, transpired. The reason I don't like that back three is because I think Sweeney and Parks have shown this season they're decent at a kind of back two where you're like, this is your job, in the middle, boot stuff away, stay close together, feed the wing backs, or feed the full backs, and you'll be fine. I'm not sure they got the kind of. There's a lot more to that game. The three at the back. Sometimes you think Sweeney's up to it, but he hasn't quite got the pace. You need to kind of like cover that amount of ground, and we haven't really got a defensive midfielder I think you need in that system as well. So, but Matt Taylor obviously quite likes it, doesn't he?
Yeah. I just think, read the room, Matt Taylor. Read the season. Read the league. Crawley, I think we've only lost there once until now in 40 years, right? Like, they weren't a team in form. I know they beat Leeds back in January, but I don't know if Matt Taylor realises how desperate we are to just go for it. Like, just go for it. We know that we might, fall at the first, we might not manage it, but come on, like, everyone's miserable. Everyone's sat at home watching it through this pathetic tiny box that we got, like, obviously I'm grateful I can do that rather than just the radio. But everyone's so frustrated, and then he goes and puts together this really frustrating team. I just think, come on, like, who cares?
Yeah,
I'd rather go down 2-1 and it be like a flying display than go 0-0 and maybe sneak a goal.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Definitely. I mean, yeah, given the circumstances, you just want to try and attack. I understand, kind of like, right? No, let's keep it tight, and maybe I think probably his idea was. Keep it like this, very safe until kind of maybe the last half an hour, and then hopefully it will still be 0-0 or something or whatever. And then, like, if I have to, I'll switch it and we'll go attack, and I'll put the Wilmot and Randall on and everyone on, and we'll go for it the last 30, or last 20 minutes or whatever. But that's a risk, isn't it? That could, and maybe that could work. But the risk is that something happens, like someone gets sent off.
Yep.
You give away a penalty, you give away a goal, and then you have to do something about it, and you have to do something drastic. And even when those things happen, we reacted to them kind of in a strange way, or too late, or both.
And yeah, I think that's absolutely his thinking. But we're not getting relegated, right? That's impossible.
Yeah.
So there's 3 outcomes this year, right? There's mid-table mediocrity, there's playoffs, there's automatics, right?
Well, I'm not sure that's realistic anymore.
No, but
yeah,
there was before this game. There were 3.
Sure.
There were 3 outcomes, weren't there? I think we were just outside.
Yeah,
the
they
playoffs.
are still all outcomes.
They are still possible outcomes, and we haven't had a good record at playoffs, and playoffs are a real gamble, right? And we haven't been that good against the top teams, although we've been okay. But at that point, before Saturday's match, I think there was 1 point between each position, wasn't there? So it went down by 1 point. So in 7th place, or wherever we were 7 points from top.
Yeah, and with the game in hand, I think we were sort of, we were 3 points off first or something.
Yeah.
Potentially. Yeah.
And also, we're far enough away from the end of the season that we can afford to not win. I mean, thankfully, given these terrible results. So I just think we just got to go for it. Away to a team like that, who aren't really playing for anything, who put celebrities in their team.
Why not just be a bit braver? That's the thing. Like, it is a bit of a gamble, and it's a bit, but just be brave. Go for it. But even without Bowman, you come off the back of before that of
really good result,
a really good result, and kind of like and Seymour doing, finally scoring. Stick with it.
I didn't get that at all.
And I mean, what he said was, "Oh, look, I can't play. Seymour's knackered. Joel Randall's knackered. You can't. All these people. And it's like they've been on a heavy pitch. It's like, well, how come like Collins is playing and he played the full 90 minutes? Sweeney's playing. He played the full 90 minutes.
Tom Nichols plays every game for Crawley in a kind of Randall position.
They've all got. I mean, it just doesn't. That doesn't really.
No. And, why not think about it the other way around? Because this is what Taylor never does.
Sweeney's fitter than Wilmot is. Wilmot's only played about 15 games this season.
Why Taylor never thinks like this. We'll try and get the result in the first 60, and then with half an hour left, I'll bring loads of people off. We can make 5 subs, right? So isn't it better to give Wilmot the first half? And if we're 2-0 up, then, Taylor never makes subs, or very rarely makes subs, to save legs. But then he makes team selections the next game to save legs. And I just don't get it.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean.
So
that was frustrating. So what actually happened in that game was that
Parks got himself sent off.
Parks was sent off, which was, I mean, I've tried watching it. It's clumsy at best. And, it's, I can understand why it's a red card, especially given that he gets in a scrap the second that he's up from the ground. And the ref you can just see the ref eyeballing him the whole time, watching him just sort of grab this guy. And you're like, yeah, well, you're not
helping.
You're not helping. And do you know what? If he'd stayed on the ground and made out that he was injured, he probably wouldn't have got sent. No, I don't know what it is, but that ref was a bit of a weirdo, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
So that happens, and then
they were really we were being attacked. We had the next 5 minutes. It was just all Crawley, wasn't it? Balls into the box.
Well, we make a couple of weird subs at that point, didn't we?
Yes.
Straight away. I can't remember exactly what happened, but yeah.
Yeah, some very strange substitutions.
It's all Crawley, onslaught, and then
we left Fisher up front on his own, didn't we? Which I know you got to do something at 10 men, but Fisher never showed 1 inch of suggestion that he was going to score. Not one.
No.
Nothing. Like, fine, Seymour's tired. A tired Seymour looks much more likely. And I don't think he looks particularly likely himself, but Fisher, just no. So, so then we're under the cosh. It gets a bit better, and then the ref makes another bizarre decision. Yeah,
this sort of odd sort of soft pen. Like you get given, bad penalties get given, And I'm glad they do, because the alternative is VAR, and look what that's done. I don't even watch Premier League football anymore because it's completely ruined.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we don't have it. And you just have to accept that they're going to get penalties given against you that they shouldn't be. And maybe that one shouldn't be. I'm not convinced. But the guy was kind of already on his way down before Capri sort of touches him on the arm. He's won the pen. But the referee, I think, he should be thinking, I've just given a straight red, which was like, debatable at least. Shall I give a soft penalty as well, or should I be absolutely certain that before I give a penalty? Because essentially, that's it. Once that I've made this call, that's it. That's the end of the game.
Yeah, I mean, I blame the ref a bit in that was a bad decision on the penalty, but I mainly blame Tom Parks. We've just watched two games previous. What happens when you have two men sent off? We did a magnificent shift to get a point at Newport, and then that's essentially all undone. Especially when you're playing for a draw in this match by doing a stupid tackle and then
that's the other thing,
waving your fist around.
The tackle's on the halfway line.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to make it at all. He sort of clatters into this guy, and then it's the reaction. The clumsy tackle I can forgive him for.
Yep.
Even though, like I said, he shouldn't have done it, but because it's not like he threw on goal. But the reaction afterwards, get a grip of yourself, mate. Like you said, you've just done this a week before. 9 men battle. You know what it's like. You were one of them. You've let yourself down. You let your team down a bit. And just keep your head, mate. Like how.
Agreed. So that was that. So after the penalty, they scored again. So it was 2-0, wasn't it? Very disappointing.
Yeah. So there was that. That's frustrating day number 1 out the way.
Then I felt frustrated the next day as well. But that's,
What was that about?
Just remembering the game.
Lovely weather.
I can't remember. I was too busy inside raging.
Well, this is the other thing. It was like Saturday. You woke up and it's like, oh, spring's arrived. It was like, sunny, not a cloud in the sky outside. It's so nice. And you're like, oh, I've got to go and sit in and watch City, have I? This seems a bit... And then, that's a reward.
That's how you're rewarded. So then last night, Warsaw. We'll talk about that in a second. So home at St James Park to Warsaw. Much more exciting and positive lineup.
Well, the lineup, but
the lineup we all hoped for.
The people would have wanted the week before, yeah.
So you got Seymour, Jay, Wilmot and Randall, Collins, Taylor, and then no Parks. So you've got Hartridge and McArdle.
Yeah, Sweeney. He's ankle. That's ankle ligament damage. So
Eesh.
I don't know how long that's going to be, but it might be a while. Yeah, so McArdle's back in.
McArdle back in.
Old action man McArdle.
He could have done with a pair of those plastic pants.
In I think they got. I haven't seen it, but in Game of Thrones they've got one of these fellas, haven't they? Who sort of like they have
a eunuch.
Yeah.
And
then so they can't be influenced by kind of their
emotions, hormones.
Yeah, sins of the flesh, so they can really concentrate on the job in hand.
Do you think that's why?
I think that's what's happened to Rory McArdle.
Do you think Tom Parks' sins of the flesh are like waving his fist around and acting the big man on the halfway line?
Yeah.
So he just needs his gonads removed and problem solved.
Look at McArdle. It's worked wonders for him.
Hormone-free McArdle. Lovely. Yeah, well, he was back and...
I think they did... Him and there's a few things to talk about in there, but just quickly, because there's not much to say about Warsaw's attacking intent. I thought McArdle and Hartridge did pretty well, considering there's not much to do. But...
They really limited it, didn't they? Looked very solid. Looked good at being first to the ball, because there were a couple of times when they may have... Obviously, Walsall were trying to play the breakaway, weren't they?
Yeah. And
there was no scope for that.
Hartridge is a cool customer, isn't he? Very cool on the ball, and he's got a big head.
He has got.
I don't mean like Bowman, physical big head. I mean he's got a big header.
Yeah.
He can.
He can really launch it.
His sort of defensive header sort of clear the.
Kind of everything he does is big, and he's got a long throw, big header.
Yeah.
He plays like sweeping passes upfield.
Yeah.
Unlike Rory McArdle, who's slightly less big than he used to be. So, I mean, I'd want to say this about McArdle, actually. We were quite critical of him coming in. First half of the season, he looked like some absolute, he looked like Captain Tom might overtake him on his laps around the garden. And
well, I mean, I think we always kind of caveated with, I'm sure this guy, once upon a time was, Captain Tom at one point was flying Lancaster or something, wasn't
Yeah. That's right. Yeah, keeping the Nazis at bay. So, but I think actually McArdle has Well, unfortunately for him, his appearances got curtailed along with his manhood. But that Stevenage away, and then this game, he looked really good, didn't he? So actually, it's proved to be a wise purchase.
Well, we needed to get someone in, and I think, to be honest, it's good to have. I like seeing him kind of like help Hartridge out on the pitch. You can see him sort of instructing him and helping him out, and that's clearly when you've got young players in there learning their trade. It's great to have someone like that. And you speak to any of the Scunthorpe fans, they absolutely love him. So clearly, once upon a time, he was like,
the Matt Taylor of Exeter.
Yeah.
And
I've got any. I was going to try and like force another joke in about his knob coming off, but I'm not going to.
All right, fair enough.
Move on.
I think it seems like we've seen progress with Hartridge, haven't we, throughout the season, and I think he'd be good going forward, won't he? Maybe him and Stubbs would be a kind of.
I hope so. Yeah, whoever this Sam Stubbs fellow is. Ray Stubbs, I don't know. Like
he's obviously an Everton fan. He mainly posts on social media when Everton win, but obviously his dad was big for Everton.
Of course he was. I remember him more of Bolton, but he was Everton as well.
Everton,
wasn't he?
yeah. So the defence. I mean, we should also touch on Andreasen's haircut.
Sean
done it himself.
No way.
Yeah. So apparently it was an accident. The guard came off.
Oh, that's what they all say when it doesn't look very good.
There's a video on Instagram. Was it Sweeney?
And it doesn't.
I think it was Sweeney on Instagram who shared a video of Andreasen had just taken the great big gouge out of the front.
Oh, right.
And they were all
Brilliant.
laughing. So, like when they're away, in the hotel.
His clean sheet gif is good. Have you seen that?
Oh, no, I haven't seen it. What's he doing?
I mean, nothing. He's just sort of weirdly sort of lifting a weight, like kind of...
Oh, yeah.
But his face is just ridiculous.
I love him.
Isn't it? Yeah.
I love him.
Yeah, me too.
So then last night we had Key. Back to 4-4-2, isn't it?
Yeah, Key's back in.
Or 4-4-1-1,
again,
or whatever you want to call
we
it.
didn't talk about this in the Walsall game, but I mean, Josh Key's just had the kind of game of his life. Or not really, but he's totally rejuvenated. Looks like the player from the start of the season.
Yeah.
Toilet issues, aside. But and then the next game, you don't play him.
Yeah.
The momentum is a thing, like...
Absolutely.
Anyway, he's back in for this and he looked good again.
Yeah, he did.
One of the only kind of... Well, there's a few things to be positive about, I suppose, from this game. And him playing well is one of them. But it just frustrates you that we should have played him in that. Should have played him against Crawley.
Yeah, because you get a result at Crawley, the Walsall game looks entirely different, doesn't it? If Seymour comes away with another goal, Anyway, that's by the by. I thought Key and Wilmot on the right-hand side looked good, particularly the first half. And the juxtaposition between that side and then Randall and Page, who didn't really look like they knew what each other was doing.
No.
I think they're both rusty, aren't they, at the minute?
I definitely think Joel Randall's kind of like... And I definitely think everybody needs to calm down with their expectations for Joel Randall. He was good at the start of the season, like brilliant. He's a kid playing his first professional season, basically, like especially as a first team player. He's not going to keep up that form, and like he's had like a month out or whatever, and he's come back in, and his touch is a bit rusty. It's going to take him a minute.
I mean, do you remember he was a bit rusty at the start of the season, wasn't he? And we were like, well, if he gets a goal, he'll kick on.
Well, no, we thought he was going to be. He actually got a goal immediately.
Oh, did he?
I all think it was the end of last season when we sort of saw him here and there. He didn't quite have the finishing product. The end of last season.
Yes, that's right.
He took off this season flying, and I think that's what. But he got in. So he got on the ball so many times, and he wasn't quite on it last night. But I don't worry about him really because he was getting himself in the positions.
Yeah. So I suppose the first half, certainly the first half of the first half, we were a bit unsure, maybe, or it took a while to get going. Taylor and Collins in midfield, Jay behind Seymour. But then actually, for second half of the first half, looked like we might, make something happen. Didn't really.
Well, we looked like we've got to win this, haven't we? You know, Walsall looked offered nothing at all.
No.
They didn't look even particularly tough to break down a centre. That really, I mean, they were stopping us, but it was more seemed to be our own kind of failures, rather than them really kind of blocking us and not giving us a look in. It was kind of like, well, we probably could, if we're just a bit better here, we could get a win. And we looked like, there was never any danger of dropping points, really.
No, shouldn't have been. So second half came out again really lively. First 15 of the second half looked like bound to score. Matt Jay played was it free kick, wasn't it? Played a brilliant ball across, which McArdle put into the back of the net. Disallowed.
Yeah, offside, which I think he was. But, there you go.
There you go. And really, and then Ben Seymour had a very clear chance, didn't he?
Yeah, he really did. So the ball comes across. I think it's a Wilmot ball this time, was it, maybe?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm not sure. The keeper comes, doesn't he? And it's at an awkward height, I think, the ball. I think is the thing. It's kind of waist height. It's too low to header it. And it's sort of like, what do you do here? He sort of waits for it to kind of come across him, I think, Seymour, and ends up missing it. And the keeper's, coming straight towards him. I think in a year or two time, he probably finishes it, or, Brian Bowman probably gets on the end of that. It's a bit of a shame, considering that chances, we didn't create much, and that was one of the kind of like clear chances. There was another one where Seymour had a kind of shot from the edge of the area, I think kind of out of frustration that he hadn't had a clear enough chance, or didn't get on the end of that one, when Matt Jay was begging to be played through, and there was just a little bit of a lack of, we didn't have much of a final ball, the crossing was a bit erratic, and we missed out on a couple of little moments of quality that we needed.
Yeah, I think that's right. I find it very curious when, with about 20 minutes to go, Taylor comes off for Atangana. I mean, that was completely unnecessary.
I think Matt Taylor said afterwards that it was a kind of preservation thing, with the amount of games. I know that's true. There is a lot of games, and do we want Taylor to get injured or suspended? Probably not, because that would mean you have to play Nigel for 90 minutes. But when you're needing a win, it never feels good to me when you're desperate for a goal to bring off a player like Jake Taylor and to bring on someone like Nige.
No.
Do you know what I mean? Because Jake Taylor, even if he's not going to score himself, is providing that kind of like galvanising energy for the team,
He's not afraid to push forwards, is he,
No, he does drive forward, and he don't think he had his particularly best game. He's not been in the best form, Taylor, although he's been good, but he's not been, scoring or creating much the last couple of games. But I still think we're better with him on the pitch and more likely to score. So in that situation, I think, and he was, apparently it sounded like he was annoyed to be brought off. I mean, frustrated, but like, yes, I understand we need to save him, but would we have had a more chance of winning with him leaving him on the pitch? I think we probably would, yeah.
Yeah. And then, even curiouser, 5 minutes to go, Fisher comes on. Maybe not even 5 minutes, maybe 3 minutes.
I don't even remember it happening.
Yeah, it did happen. And I think there's a few things going on there. Like, I get it. Jose is obviously not the player. Matt Taylor doesn't trust him.
Whatever's happening there forget it. He doesn't play for us.
He doesn't play for us, that's right. That's weird. Right, because actually Fisher might be a good guy and an energetic guy and whatever.
Seems like a lovely bloke.
Fisher.
Yeah.
Yeah, but just, if you don't burn your bridges with the Jose, because, he's basically hung him out to dry with how he's explained stuff to the media, which, as fans...
It almost seems like Matt Taylor wants to say more. You're kind of like, he wants to sort of go like, yeah, I hate him, but he can't bring himself to, so he has to give these kind of like strange excuses and then just sort of stare at the person interviewing him saying, right, stop asking me about this guy now,
But, and I mean, if he's involved in like literally gross misconduct, like, he set fire to Matt J's pants, right, or whatever, I mean, maybe that's not even gross misconduct.
And that's just standard, I think. They call that banter.
Oh, yes. That's one thing, and you could publicly say, like, no, we can't have him around because X, Y, and Z. But you have got him around. He is around. Like, you're making these excuses for him, but he's still in Exeter. Isn't it better to have, in these circumstances, given that Fisher is, I'm really sorry, Alex Fisher, but essentially never going to score?
No.
Shouldn't a Jose be kept in the loop to some extent? Because in a game like that last night, he might just go and stand on the last man and know what to do with it.
Well, you've got a squad of how many people? You've just essentially sort of like choosing to have one less player in the squad.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason it is, even if he has nicked your girlfriend or whatever,
Yeah.
then, would the team do better just having an extra player, another option? I don't know. Who knows?
Who knows?
But the problem is maybe that would work, but the problem we've got is Bowman is missing.
Yeah.
Bowman's suspended because of a stupid thing that he did.
Yeah.
So we've got to blame him to a certain extent. The other thing is, if you look at it, the reason that Bowman plays every minute of every single game is because the whole team is built around him. And so when you kind of go like, okay, Seymour's playing now, it's like, well, we don't know how to play. We don't know how to play, or we're not. The system revolves around Ryan Bowman, so put someone small in there who can't do the same job. It just doesn't work.
No.
We're not adapting, or we're trying to maybe adapt to play with a guy who doesn't have as the same physical presence, but it just doesn't work. It's never going to. I mean, it's not like we can. Maybe that's too much to ask that we are able to just flip a switch and start playing a completely different way. But maybe if you kind of had some, maybe we could have got rid of a Jose and got someone else then, and maybe they could be someone who, is an alternative option to Ryan Bowman, and we would have had a chance to maybe get used to playing in a different way with a different striker. I don't know. It is.
I just, and I also
I can't wait to stop talking about a Jose, but
no, I also think Taylor's substitution is so strange. Like, as much as I've just said Alex Fisher won't ever score, and he might not, and I wouldn't surprise me one jot if the season finished and he doesn't score again. At least give him 20 minutes or 10 minutes. Like,
yeah. Well, do you remember last season? I think he had a bit of a. There was a point where he's on a bit of a run, wasn't he? He scored like 3 goals in a. I think in
no, it definitely
maybe
was.
in 3 games, but in a short amount of time. But that was giving him. Now he's expected to come in and go like, right, you're playing now, and you go. I know you haven't played barely a minute all season, but you've got to replace one of the top goal scorers in the league, and go out there and do it. So, yeah, I don't think Fisher's like a great goal scorer or someone you'd want to have as your main striker, but it's a bit unfair of him to kind of have to take any of the brunt of Ryan Bowman getting himself banned from 3 games.
But I also think into that, if given that our way of playing is partly Bowman getting on the end of things and partly Bowman creating space for Jay, Randall Williams, etc., how on earth can Alex Fisher do anything like that if he's got 3 minutes?
Oh yeah, I know. Well, there's a pointless sub. And the other thing is at this point when we're 1-0 down, what's the point playing a kind of defensive
in the Crawley game?
Sorry, this is a Crawley game.
Yeah.
But what's the point leaving it as a defensive setup? So we changed it to be more defensive after the red card.
Yes.
And then when we go to 1-0 down, what's the point trying to defend?
I think he panicked on those substitutions. I think it was especially given the Newport performance, it was well worth waiting.
Yeah, but you're given a second chance because you've got more subs you can make. You can make 5 subs.
Yeah.
So you can switch it again, and you're still only in the same position you would be in a normal season.
Yeah.
I just find it strange to kind of defend a 1-0, 1-0 down and be defending it. Just go for it. Any difference. You've already got, if goal difference is the thing you're worried about, we've got plenty of that.
With the Walsall game, it was very clear with a half an hour left that they had very little intention of trying to score. Like, if there was a breakaway, obviously they'd try.
Oh, yeah, they were barely trying.
They were barely trying.
They were loving it that they got a 0-0.
We should have thrown the absolute kitchen sink at them, Sparks to change the fullbacks seems like, okay, they're just swapping one player for another player who's not quite as good or not quite as quick as the one you've taken off.
Yeah, and I don't mind seeing Sparks brought on.
Neither do I.
And I thought that could have been that could have worked maybe, but that's the only thing you've got to.
You think actually maybe it's better to just sacrifice a centre back. At that point, give them 15 minutes and just think like, nah, come on, actually, this is mental. They're just not trying to play at all. But obviously it's not on his. He's a cautious man. And the last 2 games have just proved that caution is his watchword.
I think in a way with the kind of sub situation that we're saying, like you can perhaps adjust and you can make a couple of adjustments. If you, I know it's not quite this. It's quite a simplistic way of looking at it, but you can adjust, make some sort of substitution that maybe makes you kind of slightly vulnerable defensively, but in exchange for being much more attacking. And once you've scored, maybe you can switch it back, especially when playing against a team like Walsall who aren't offering any kind of threat.
Yeah.
All they're doing is trying to block you and then half-heartedly attempt to catch you on the break. Like in that case, we'll switch things up. You can switch. You've got the opportunity to be able to switch things back afterwards.
Yeah, and Sparks is essentially, in the current situation, particularly last night, Sparks was one of our very few positive options on the bench, right? Yeah. So, and he's a good, he's a good ball player, and he does score, and he makes good passes. Utilise that. Don't just say, "Oh, actually, we'll put you in the same place as before." This is what I'm coming back to. Really.
Well, I think that what you do is you can bring Sparks on. What he brought him on and put him on the right, and switched Randall over to the
Wilmot
over to the left. Yeah, that's a good idea. At least that's changing the system slightly. Putting a right footer on the other side. Do it earlier.
Yeah.
Make that move earlier on.
Yeah.
And then I don't know.
This is what I mean about the season. Like caution. We're not getting relegated, which would be a disaster. We're not getting relegated. We might finish mid-table. I think it's better to either go. It's like the potential of automatics is worth going for at the potential cost of mid-table.
Totally. Because you might get that anyway.
Yes,
you might get mid-table anyway.
Yes,
I know. It's thing is, I'm quite happy with not getting promoted. At the end of the day, I don't care. Like I'm all right with it as long as we don't get relegated. It's fine. It's still League One, League Two. It'd be great to get promoted, but I wouldn't. I'm not going to get angry if we don't. But I just think it might be a bit of a kind of It might be a bit disappointing to kind of like lose this kind of this opportunity of having these really good young players who might go, and I'd be we wasted that. Like we didn't go for it when we had. If Joel Randall goes to the end of the season, there's been some interest. We've turned down bids for him. Like if he goes and Archie Collins leaves, which the team's looking at him. He's getting praise. And I don't know, Key, whoever. Say they go, and then it's like, and we didn't achieve anything with them. It'll be a shame, won't it? And I think that's the only thing that frustrates me really about this season, if that happens, is like missed opportunity with those young players.
And I think now, because I think it's proved that we were right to be cautious with our spending, so we haven't brought in all these really expensive players. That's proved to be correct. We're still competing. It's now down to whether Taylor's willing to risk it. And I should think it's very, very, very much worth the risk. Because like you say, we could have a completely different starting 11. Anderson might go. We might not be able to get him back. Key could go. Caprice and Key and Page could go. Collins could go. I think Taylor will stay. Bowman's very likely to go. Randall Williams, who knows, but could well go.
He'll probably go.
Joel Randall very
might
likely.
Well go. Collins, yeah, exactly. And so
Wilmot's not our player. So then you're like, okay, right, that's fine. Hartridge, I think that's a good starting point for a team. But what a frustration.
Yeah, and then what if we don't make it and next year's a big rebuild?
And big clubs come down. It's the same thing every time.
It'd be fine to that if that's the case, like I said. But it would just be, that was a shame that we didn't at least. I'd just love to see it from now until the end of the season. Just go like, look at what we were like the start of this season.
I know.
We were shipping goals at the back, but we were scoring loads. We scored so many goals. We're still the top scoring team, I think, in the division or up there, and we've barely scored a goal for the last 3 months. And that shows how let's just go for it. I know it's not quite as simple as go play like you did at the beginning, but you can set the team up to do that.
Yeah, that was the frustration at Crawley. That really was. I think that was just such a missed opportunity. And then I think if you come out of that with a win, last night looks completely different. And so if you get those 2 games, you get 4 points. That feels very different to 1 point when you've just defended poorly for the first game against a team that were up for the taking. Anyway, that's where we are. We'll talk about the next games in a second. So next on the calendar, managerless Leyton Orient. I think our old mate Joby McAnuff, Jacoby Shaddix, is in charge at the minute.
Is he?
Yeah, believe so. Temporary.
Was he the last resort?
Very good. You have to call him Papa, Joby. So that's Saturday. They're pretty out of form. They haven't won in 5.
Right, okay. I'm guessing that's why they haven't got a manager.
Yeah, I guess so. Then it's Scunthorpe, also not having the best season. So that's Saturday, Tuesday. Then the following Saturday is Cheltenham. Then it's Tranmere. So we actually got a week in between those two.
Is that our one Tuesday night of the season off?
Yeah.
I think there's only one, yeah. Must be that. Well, what are you going to do on that Tuesday?
I imagine I'll watch some Champions League. Watch some good football for once.
Really? I'm going to do something completely different. I don't know what I'm going to do.
What are you going to do?
I might watch a film.
Oh. Because you can't do that any other time at the minute.
No, all I do is watch City, and if they're not playing, I do research.
Oh, yeah, very good, of course. Let me just give you the table. So it's not as pretty as it was. Cheltenham are top on 56. Cambridge have dropped to second on 55.
Finally.
Then Forest Green, who, of course, lost the other night, and Tranmere in 3rd and 4th on 54. Then it's Morecambe in 5th on 52. Bolton in 6th on 50. Salford 49 in 7th, Newport 48 in 8th, and Exeter City 47 in 9th. Then behind us, Bradford only a point behind us, and Harrogate are only a point behind them. I mean, come on, Matt Taylor, if you're listening, which I assume you are, we have to get some very positive results. These next 4 games, we need at least 7 points.
Well, we need it for the mentality, if not literally the points. If we want to, this is the opportunity now to kind of go like, let's just, go for it.
Go for it.
Us as supporters and this team have had to suffer the consequences of the last few years of just going like, oh no, let's not go for it. Let's play it safe. Let's just in case. No, we could go for it, but no, let's not.
Let's not.
We're at Wembley. Should we go for it? Nah. No, better not. Better just keep it tight, and then we're losing. Oh, we lost 4-0 in the playoff final. Should have gone for it.
Should have. It's ridiculous. So yeah, we're just going to need some real solid response because this has been rubbish. I mean, It has been rubbish.
We got to beat Leyton Orient at home.
Yeah, we got to beat Scunthorpe away.
Yeah.
Like, if we can go into Cheltenham having won the last 2 games.
Even then, Cheltenham's top of the league, right? And they're having a good season. Like they've been strong, been up and around, a bit like us, top end of the table the whole season. Got some good results. Let's just take it to them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yep.
Whereas at the moment you think, like, Cheltenham, that means we're going to go. Oh, we'll probably go 3 at the back, and
Bowman might sneak one.
And and that's we're not going to play. Joel Randall's on the bench, and whatever. Let's just go for it.
Yeah.
No one. It's much better to kind of, like you're saying, it'd be better to kind of fail, kind of having given it a go rather than.
Yeah. And, if with 5 games left, we're in and around the playoffs and autos look very unlikely, then we can think again. But this is the point. It's really, really close.
Yeah, I agree, yeah.
So us in 9th, we're 9 points behind Cheltenham, but we've got a game in hand, right? And we've got more games in hand over some of the other teams above us. So 3 other teams have played at least 2 games more than us. So this is the time. And we play all of those teams. I think we play almost all of them. We just have to think, if we get 12 points from the next 4 games, we're so back in it.
I know.
We're so back in it.
And that's not going to happen if we...
No.
Potter around. Especially, against teams like Crawley. I put Scunthorpe and a couple of those teams, and almost Leyton Orient, in the same kind of category, really. So it's like... Yeah, of course. All these teams in League 2 can do a job on a day and can cause you trouble, but...
None of those teams are in danger. It's going to be either Southend, Barrow or Grimsby. It's going to be 2 of those 3 that go down. Everyone else, Port Vale, who are having a terrible season in 21st, Colchester, Mansfield, Scunthorpe, Oldham. We play all these teams. They already know their mid-table.
Yeah. Yeah. So they've kind of got enough. Let's batter them. Come on.
Come on. I mean, just go for it. I mean, Bowman's playing for a championship contract.
Yeah.
Randall
He's
Williams
back now, but big boy Bowman back in the side.
By the way, I really expect a solid response from him.
Oh, he better.
He better.
He better be giving scoring it. Give it a score a couple on Saturday, son.
You really better add.
You owe me.
So that's that.
And Williams will be back soon, won't he?
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. I don't know. Sam Stubbs might be coming in. I see he's training now, Sam Stubbs.
I do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I'm not worried about the defence, to be honest. But, it'd be good to see him before the end of the year.
Yeah.
He's our hope for next year, I'm assuming, wherever we are. So that's that. Come on, City. My concern, Dan, and if I'm honest, is we'll all have to troop up to Wembley to get beaten by Bolton, who will bring 80,000. And
or Salford, and it'll be like, hang on, how come this many people
bring
support
400? And, they'll probably both of them. They'll probably do a combined 11 just to thump us. The North against the South. Oh, it'd be wonderful. Football coming home to the North. And we'll all have to put up with it. And then Tisdale will be there waving his hand in an obscene manner. Him and Ryan Lowe will have ganged up and be the co-commentary.
Well, they'll be in the studio, won't they, Tisdale? And he'll be there smirking. And then just under the table, just giving us a little shuffle, won't he? Like just as they're about to go off air.
You dirty dog, Tisdale. You dirty dog. Well, to be honest, we'll probably be playing him on Saturday when Leyton Orient appoint him.
Maybe.
Anyway, that's that. That's my concern. I think we've just got to go for it, as we all do. So you can get in touch with us in all the normal ways, of course. We're on email, bigbankpod@gmail.com. We're on Twitter @bigbankpod, and you can find us on Facebook. Facebook as well, the Big Bank Theory podcast.
Yes.
Tell us your thoughts. We're always delighted to hear them. But I only really want to know, if anyone's got any inside info on Randall Williams, I'd be interested in that. What do you think?
What do you mean?
Well, I don't know. When's he come in?
Well, I don't know, but he's got some sort of fractured leg or something.
Yeah, so it could be ages. We might never see him.
There's enough time left in there this season. I think we will see him. Hopefully it'll be just in time to kind of give us a bit of a... Because what we need at the moment, to be honest, is like our team, we do look a little bit green, don't we? I mean, I don't mean like kind of anything to do with our goal.
Hope not.
I just mean, like, as great as Randall has been, you look at when Wilmot coming in and thinking like, oh, there's a player who's seen a few games, hasn't he? You know, and I think even Williams now has got a fair bit of experience.
Seasons,
and like,
yep.
I just love to see him back in there. Not that I think
Yeah, I agree.
Anyway.
Well, okay. Well, if you've got any of the inside info, please let us know. Thanks for listening, everyone. We'll be back next week, of course. My name's John. I've been here with my friend and colleague Dan.
Cheers.
See you soon.